Good morning, Dokkan Ninja Turtles. Welcome back to another video. We are here because we have 6 EZAs for the crossover characters, and basically the ones that we necessarily thought were going to get EZAs got EZAs. The hero cards didn't happen. The whole time that was happening, I was pretty much kind of like, I wonder if they're going to justify not having those cards EZA, even though they told us that every year corresponding they would get their EZAs. Maybe they were going to say that, like, oh, they have too many new players, because remember, those banners weren't coming back. So I was thinking maybe they were going to be like, oh, well, we can't do it because, you know, we have too many new players, and they would be missing out on the, you know, some BS that they would feed us. So I'm going to assume that's probably the case on that. But, you know, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and see what we're looking at, starting off with the woman, the very voluptuous woman, Toa. So let's see what Toa got for us. So attack and defense, 20% per key spear obtained, and recovers 1500 HP per key spear of character's type obtained. You know, sometimes I read that and I think to myself, because you know how we get our normal leaders and stuff. Sometimes I think to myself, is that actually good? Or is that just like, nah, because I think it's not good, just for the simple fact that, yeah, it's not good. That's not good. I don't need to elaborate on that. It's not good. So basic effect, attack and defense, 200%. All allies key +3, very bare minimum for the basic. Per extreme class, ally on the team, attack and defense 80% when attacking up to 400, and then all allies attack and defense 10% up to 50%. All right, some port built in. She's got her own key, no key given to the team, which is whatever. No damage reduction so far. It's crazy that I'm even gonna say no dodge so far, but I'm gonna keep going. Oh, never mind, I see some damage reduction down there. Hold on. So with 3 or more crossover or demonic power category allies are on the team, or when all allies attacking in the same turn or extreme class characters, attack and defense 200%, chance of evading enemies attacks 70%. So there it is. You know, I was getting ahead of myself. 70%. Launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack, and then when all allies attacking in the same turn or crossover category characters, you're looking at a damage reduction rate of 15%. So even when I'm looking at that, with just raw stats alone, you're going to have a maximum of, so that's what, 800 attack and defense with a 70% chance to dodge and 15% damage reduction. Even though I'm saying this out of my mouth, because you still have leader skills factoring in, so she's well over 1,000 even with links and stuff, I still don't think that's probably really good. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that's really good. From the events that we've seen, we know that they're gonna just continue to pretty much get spiked even more heavily going forward. I don't look at that and think to myself like, yeah, that's really, really, really good. Now, again, this could be the misconception or the misinterpretation of me looking at this, looking at, you know, cards for a very long time on paper, and then a card performs very well in game. Like, it could be that, and that could be the same thing for all the cards that I'm going to talk about. But from looking at it right now, I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think that's going to be all that great, if you ask me, which you watched in this video, so I'm going to assume you asked me. So greatly raises defense for 1 turn. It causes supreme damage to the enemy and lowers attack and greatly lowers defense, and seals super attack. Like I said, that sealing super attack, lowering greatly lowering, and just lowering attack and defense, all that stuff don't really matter in bosses that like can't be status effect or anything like that. It doesn't really matter whatsoever at all. It's basically a bunch of nothing burger, to be honest. So right now, she didn't wow me whatsoever at all, so I'm gonna put her at the lowest totem pole right now for these EZAs. Now, going into Meera, he does have a transformation. So if he builds stacks, you know, yada, 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 then okay. But I have to see if they, you know, build a stack or whatever. Let me know in the comments, because I don't have the other up right now for this. So yeah, they're not up right through here yet, and because they haven't been dated in. So if they do stack, then let me know in the comment section below, and then it might change a little bit for long-term sort of content and stuff. But physical type 3 key and 130 across the board, not terrible. Especially for just physical type. I wish we'd get a mono lead of 250. That would be fucking amazing. Basic effect, key +3, attack and defense 250. One time attack and defense 250. Chance to evade a great chance to evade enemies' attacks, and damage reduction 25%. So one time? When do you transform again? Oh, hold on. Let me hold on. When attacking with 12 or more attack and defense another 250. So we're looking at basically without that one time effect of 500 with 3 key 500, then 750 one time. Damage reduction 25% when there's 3 or more crossover or android category allies on the team, or when all allies attacking in the same turn are extreme class characters. Attack and defense 250. So that's your 1,000 for that one time, and then 750 for afterwards. And then you still have a chance to perform a crit hit, 70%. High chance of launching an additional super attack. Okay, when there's an ally whose name includes Toa, attacking in the same turn starting from the 3rd turn from the character's entry turn, or starting from the 4th turn from the start of battle. Absorb Toa, and and the egg. So I'm gonna say that's reading like slot 3. Put that mug in the slot 3 and get him off rotation. That's basically what I'm seeing right there. Greatly raise attack and raises defense and causes supreme damage to the enemy. I would like for going forward for their new cards, like, so you don't have to go on the Dokkan wiki or anything like that. I would like, as an additional update, if they actually put down there for how many turns it actually was. So if they had like a number at the top and it was like 99 or 3 turns or just 1 turn, you know, whatever, do that. Just a little constructive criticism there. The way it can sort of help out a lot of people with, you know, figuring out what stacks before they have to be dated in and be like, yeah, that stacks, and yada yada yada. So he was, get him off rotation, put him in the 3rd slot. So this is your transformation. I'm hoping that you are great. So key +3, attack and defense 300%, damage reduction rate 25%, great chance of launching an additional super attack and defense 80%, and chance to evade enemies attacks 20% for the character and allies whose name includes Toa. Okay, hold on, let me cut that off for a second. There we go. So it was bothering me for a second. Attack and defense 80% and chance to evade enemies attacks 20% for characters whose names includes Toa. So that's the new Toa and Meera that made them better. Obviously the tech Toa is better. You still have to remember the other Toas, the AGL one, and I think the intelligence one that we have of her from hero stuff. So okay, but for the most part, you're just looking at those 2 right now because those would be the ones in the most play. Yeah, all right. You know, I like that little buff with it because I felt like she was very lackluster, and now, you know, having a bit more of dodge in her. What was that, a 90% chance to dodge? Hold on, let me come back to that. Let me read that off again. What was it? Yeah, chance to evade enemies 70%. Yeah, 90%. So right off the bat, okay, once the transformation, all right, when attacking with 12 or more key, attack 250%, and then attack one time only, attack 100% for 4 turns. So that's 350. So you got 650 attack right off the bat there. And then defense 550 here. When I see the when receiving an attack with 12 or more key, you get an additional 250, and then one time. Okay, so yeah, 350. So, and damage reduction rate 15% for 6 turns. Okay, so you get 40% damage reduction. That's definitely still not telling me slot 1. Still maybe slot 2, maybe slot 3, depending on what your rotations necessarily look like, and also what these other characters look like as well. All right. 3 or more crossover or android category allies on the team, or when all allies attacking in the same turn are extreme class characters. Attack and defense 3. Okay, so there's an extra with it. And the chance to perform a crit hit 70%. So you got 600, 850. So 850. And then you have leaders and links and stuff like that. I don't know why, but I don't know. It just feels like it's not wowing me. When all allies attacking in the same turn are crossover category, so you get the extra 15, which will bring you up to 55% for 6 turns. So you have 55% damage reduction for 6 turns. That's not terrible, but that's still screaming slot 2 or slot 3, or possibly slot 1 if you aren't getting hit first, and then you can sort of maneuver that. That's what I'm seeing there. And greatly raises attack and raises defense, causes supreme damage to the enemy, and then greatly raises attack and defense. What is that? And greatly raises attack and defense. Raises extreme class allies attack by 10% for 1 turn, self-excluded. Okay. Is it gonna go up? Like, I mean that in 2 ways. Like, is it getting better from here on out? And also, did they purposely put the rankings right now? Like, Toa at the bottom, she came out first, that way it's stacked over, because I still have him definitely over her. The 90% damage reduction though, like, is not 90% damage reduction, but the dodge it's all right, but you live by the dodge, you die by the dodge, and I'd have very, very, very bad luck with dodge units. So for me, Demigra, I hope you're good. Hope it's elevating, you know. All types 3 key, and see, bro, 90%, bro. Y'all couldn't go any higher. Y'all couldn't do 120 or 130. Like, dude, I don't even want to get started on the rant that I have for all type leaders. I don't even want to get started on that, because I'll be here for like 3 days, genuinely, like 3 days arguing about it. It's you talk. Ooh, you got a lot. All right. Oh no, it's not a lot. It's just that last is a giant form at the end. So let me read that off first then. So when HP is 60% or less, or when the character is a third attacker at the start of a turn, and all allies attacking in the same turn are crossover or Realm of Gods category characters starting from the third turn from the character's entry turn. Why did that feel horrible to say out loud? There's no way I read that wrong. Like, I read it just like, maybe there was a pause in there or space, because the or threw me off. But all right, you know, it is what it is. Still restricted very heavily on that. So key +2 attack and defense 250, chance of performing a critical hit, and damage reduction rate 20%. Launch an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack. High chance of stunning the attacked enemy. Like I said, that's only good when you're able to do that. When attacking, attack and defense 250, so not slot 1, because you have to be attacking to get that. When 3 or more crossover category or Realm of Gods category allies are on the team, or when all allies attacking in the same turn are extreme class characters, attack and defense 300%. So you got 500 at the, so we're basically back to, that's 550. So 850. That's where we're at. Chance of a enemy, chance to perform a crit hit and chance to evade enemies attacks 40%. So you get a 60% crit, still 20% damage reduction, and a 40% chance to evade enemies. And as the second attack in a turn, chance to evade enemies attacks 40%. So 80% one time, interrupts the attacked enemy one time. And as the third attack in a turn, chance of evading enemies attacks and damage reduction rate 30% when and attacks guaranteed to hit. Okay, I was getting ahead of myself there. Okay, not looking too bad here. When HP is 60% or more, attack 266%. Wait the F these damn calculations up, bruh. Like, what were we at before? What, 580? No, it was 850. Yeah, 850. No, what am I talking about? Just 800, because that's 500 to get her 25. Yeah. So now we're looking at 1066. I mean, that's definitely a step up from the 800s that we were getting from the others. So I can't be mad at that. And then the chance of evade enemies attack 6% up. They had to put that. They had to put the, the triple sixes in there at some point. You already know it. Demonic power and yada yada yada. They had to do it. Greatly raises attack and defense for one turn and causes supreme damage with a high chance of stunning the enemy. Okay. The still the fucking nothing burgers in there, unless you're gonna start giving us units that actually can stun the really hard bosses as well too, then whatever. But I know there'd be somebody in there to be like, well, that would just be too broken. If they could do that, everybody would just run that. That's kind of the fucking point. But it is what it is. So key +3, there it is, triple sixes, and attacks guaranteed to hit when the enemy's HP is 66% or more. You get another triple sixes and chance to perform a crit hit 66%. Interesting. Wait, that's not rainbow either, so that's some interesting stats. Massively raised attack temporary and causes destructive damage and a medium chance of stunning the enemy. So yeah, anything that you can throw him in that stuns and stuff like that, sure, great. That's what it looks like for most of these crossover cards currently right now. Throw them in mid to low, high, if that makes sense, events, and sure, they'll be fine. But I think currently right now, unless I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, let me know. But if I'm right, you tell me I'm right. Like, it still seems like so far all these cards can get just fucked up, like genuinely fucked up. Like nothing has wowed me yet. Nothing has been like, wow, this great. Like it's all been like, all right. So we got what, two trunks cards, and then that's it. Two trunkses. All types 3 key. I don't even. Just move on. Key +4. And by the way, their ranking is still the same right now. Toa's at the bottom, Meera, and then Demigra. Yeah. So key +4, attack and defense 250, damage reduction rate 15%, crossover and defenders of justice category allies 30%, defense for 2 turns. When attacking with 80% or less, when attacking, can't read right now, when HP is 80% or less, or when facing 2 or more enemies, performs a crit hit. When attacking with 12 or more key, attack and defense 250, and then damage reduction rate 15%, so a 30% damage reduction, and 500% attack and defense with 4 key, and 30% defense to crossover defenders justice for 2 turns. So we got the other turn, helped out a little bit. Not bad there. And as a second or third attacker, all right, that's, we know, designated. We know where he at. Attacking defense 250. So 750. Yeah. 750. And damage reduction rate another 20%. So 50%. And as a third attacker in turn launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack. I'm not putting you in the third slot unless I don't know, unless I need to put somebody else in on a rotation or something like that at that point in time. When 3 or more crossover or defenders of justice category allies are on the team, or when all allies attacking in the same turn or super class characters attacking defense, another 250, so 1,000. High chance to perform a crit hit. Randomly change key spears of a certain type to physical and STR key spears to physical key spears. Okay. Foresees enemy super attack within the character's attacking turn, starting from the 4th turn from the start of battle. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, you just get to see where they're at. And that'd be really actually that would be very good in the long form of events and stuff. Just because once you get there, is 4 turns is probably already passed unless it's a 1 stage or 1 phase fight, but. Not bad, but most of those phases, sort of turns and stuff like that, they're pretty much building up. So it's very handy to know where super attack is coming from. That way you can sort of put your dodge unit or whatever, like again, Ultra Instinct Goku or something like that. Whatever it is that you're using, you can put that unit there and hope to God that they dodge and you'll be fine. Greatly raises attack and raises defense for 1 turn and causes supreme damage to all enemies. I forgot he is an AoE. Raises allies attack and defense by 20% for 2 turns. So yeah, even if you do put him in the second or third, that means the other rotations coming in, having that little minor buff popped off as well too. So far, this literally feels like this Trunks, this AGL Trunks is going to be the best one of them all, because what I said at the beginning of this seems like it's pretty much right. The bottom, we're getting better and pretty good. And then maybe he's going to be great. But like I said, if I'm not translating this from paper to game all that well, let me know. But I feel like I am. I feel like it. And plus, you got to remember, we're about to hit Golden Week, and then we're going to hit the Tanabanta or the Transcendent campaign, and then right after that will be the damn Global Dokkan campaign, which, like I said, is another meta change. And like I said, they're coming out like hard in the middle, like a little bit past the middle of this meta. So yeah, and I'm like I said, I'm not extremely impressed right now. I'm not looking at these cards going, ooh, wow, oh my god. Like maybe when I see the max stats for him, maybe that might get me a little bit more excited about him, being like, okay, the calculation that I'm thinking in my head probably a lot better now, because you know they do have support built in and stuff like that. That's going to be helping them out through. So they, like, even though when I'm saying this amount of HP attack and defense, blah 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 blah, like still got a piece in the parts that you're still getting a bunch of other support from the other cards. So just remember that. But let's get into it. Power ranks. Yeah, AGL type 3 key, 100%. Key +2 and attack and defense 250, chance to evade enemies attacks 25%, crossover or mission execution category allies attack 30% for 2 turns. When attacking with 12 or more key, attack and defense 250, and if HP is 80% or less when facing 2 or more enemies, plus an additional attack 150%. Okay, so you had to 500 and now you go to 650 on attack. As the second or third attack in a turn, attack and defense 250%, chance to evade enemies attacks 20%. So you get 45 right now. As the third attacker in the turn, launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack. When receiving a normal attack, damage reduction rate 60% temporarily. Hold on. So that's the only 60% you get is just on the normals? Interesting. When receiving a super attack, chance of evading enemies attacks 30%. Oh, whoa, ooh, buddy, that's a 75% chance. That is a 75% chance that you have. Interesting. When receiving a super attack. Oh, what am I talking about? I've already read that. All right, I was about to read it again like I ain't read that shit already, bro. 3 or more crossover mission execution category allies are on a team, or when all are basically super class characters, attack and defense 250. Wait, so is that still only like 900 attack? What was it was 650 to the last. Yeah, not 900 attack, and great chance to perform a crit hit. It interrupts the attacked enemy. It doesn't say one time only either, so he's going to be doing that. So basic. Ooh, man. So if you only got so if you put him in that second slot and the enemy's only attacking you once, woo, safe. Causes supreme damage to the enemy and raises attack for 7 turns. Raises allies attack and defense by 20% for 2 turns. You know, I think I was right. I think he's the best one. Did they do this on they had to have done this on purpose, right? There's no way. If you're watching this right now, you made it this far. There's no way, right? No way that they didn't structure these cards this way to let us know who's better and who's not. Because I already have these guys rainbow. Maybe except for Demigra. I can't remember if Demigra's fully rainbow. He might be. As much as I've felt like I've summoned him, he should be. I feel like most of everybody here is rainbow, so that's cool. But I feel like Toa's the worst one so far, and she has 90% damage reduction with Meera Transformer. So you let me know, how do y'all have the rankings for these? Because I have it just the way that they have it, from bottom to top, from top to bottom. I literally have it that exact same way. That is actually wild, but let me know. We have to wait until we see on paper translated to in game, but for right now, with nobody else's influence whatsoever at all, that's what I'm looking at. So other than that, have an awesome day / nice day, safe, and I'm out. Peace.